Can China reshape the world's economic landscape? Is the Belt and Road Initiative a new Silk Road or a strategic tool for global dominance? These are questions that have been echoing around the globe. The Belt and Road Initiative, a colossal infrastructure project spanning across continents, has been stirring up quite a debate. Some see it as a move towards global connectivity, while others view it as a strategic maneuver for influence. To answer these questions, we first need to understand the origins and intentions of the Belt and Road Initiative. China's Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, is a grand design aimed at enhancing global connectivity. This ambitious project involves the construction of a vast network of roads, railways, ports, and energy facilities, spanning from East Asia to Europe. The primary goal is to foster economic development and cooperation, primarily through infrastructure investment and regional integration. However, this initiative has sparked a wave of criticism. Detractors argue that the BRI loans are less about mutual growth and more a strategic tool for China to expand its geopolitical influence and secure access to critical resources. They suggest that beneath the veneer of economic cooperation, the BRI could be a sophisticated means of establishing Chinese hegemony on a global scale. So, what are we looking at here? A benevolent effort to boost global development or a calculated strategy for geopolitical dominance? With these grand ambitions in mind, how exactly does the Belt and Road Initiative function? At the heart of the Belt and Road Initiative are loans provided by China to developing countries for infrastructure development. These aren't your typical loans. They come with high interest rates and strict terms that are often challenging for developing nations to meet. Imagine a small country eager to modernize and grow, taking on a massive loan to build a power plant or a highway. The money flows, the concrete pours, and for a while, everything seems perfect. But as time rolls on, the debt begins to weigh heavily. The interest piles up and the strict terms of the loan agreement start to pinch. Suddenly, that highway or power plant starts to look less like a ticket to prosperity and more like a chain of financial obligation. Repayment becomes a steep mountain to climb, often leading to staggering debt burdens. But what happens when these countries struggle to repay their loans? Debt traps are the grim reality that can emerge when countries find themselves unable to repay the loans. Imagine this like a game of chess where the king is cornered and every move leads to a check. The king here represents the borrowing nations, and the player cornering it is China, wielding the power of debts. In this high-stakes game, when countries grapple with repayment, China, the strategic player, gains leverage. It's a delicate balance, like walking a tightrope. One misstep and the borrower finds itself in a precarious spot, with high debt burdens and a looming threat of economic dependency. And what happens when a nation stumbles and finds itself unable to repay? In some instances, China has demanded control over strategic assets such as ports or natural resources. This isn't merely about economic control, it's about influence and power. This control can potentially lead to a loss of sovereignty for the borrowing country, turning it into a pawn in China's grand geopolitical chessboard. The consequences of these debt traps can be dire, creating a ripple effect that extends beyond mere finances. It can fundamentally alter the dynamics of a nation, shifting the balance of power and leading to long-term dependency. The stakes are high, and the consequences are far-reaching. Let's look at some real-world examples of these debt traps. From Sri Lanka to the Maldives and Pakistan, the consequences of these debt traps become all too real. Let's explore a few examples. Sri Lanka embarked on the ambitious Hambantota port project, financed by China. However, the high debt burden became too much for the island nation. Unable to repay its loan, Sri Lanka had to lease the port to China for a staggering 99 years, essentially surrendering control of a strategic asset. Traveling a bit north, we find the Maldives, a nation known for its sandy beaches and clear waters. China's investments in infrastructure projects here raised eyebrows globally. The worry, a potential loss of sovereignty as the country grapples with the weight of its debts. In Pakistan, the story is a bit different. China's investments in the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, have stirred debates over long-term implications. The concerns revolve around the country's ability to repay its loans without compromising its strategic assets or autonomy. These examples paint a picture of how nations, driven by the need for infrastructure development, can fall into a quagmire of debt, resulting in dire consequences. It's a complex and precarious landscape where the line between economic assistance and strategic control is blurred. With these examples in mind, how can countries navigate this complex landscape? The need for infrastructure is real, but so are the risks associated with the Belt and Road Initiative. The balancing act here is a complex one, requiring astute judgment and careful planning. Transparency is a cornerstone, shining a light on the terms of these loans, making sure they're understood in their entirety. It's about asking the right questions, understanding the fine print, and knowing what you're getting into. Next, we have sustainable debt management. It's a bit like walking a tightrope. You need to balance the immediate needs of infrastructure development with the long-term implications of debt. It's about not overburdening future generations with unmanageable debt. And let's not forget about diversification of partnerships. Why put all your eggs in one basket? By spreading their partnerships, countries can mitigate risks and avoid overdependency on a single partner. In a world where China's global influence is growing, vigilance and prudent decision-making become the keys to maintaining sovereignty. China's Belt and Road Initiative is reshaping the world's economic landscape. This ambitious global connectivity project, while promising infrastructure development, carries with it the potential for high debt burdens and economic dependency for borrowing nations. From Sri Lanka to the Maldives and Pakistan, we've seen the real-world implications of these debt traps. It's crucial for these nations to exercise vigilance, promote transparency, and diversify partnerships. In this complex and dynamic world, understanding the intricacies of China's global influence is more important than ever.